Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. And today is a great day for Magic Arena because Final Fantasy has finally fully launched on Arena, playable by everybody. So if you are excited for the set at all and you want to play with some Final Fantasy cards, now is the time to do so. But with all of that out of the way, let's just get into the pack one, pick one here. And this is a really sweet pack. Nibelheim of Flame is a sick board wipe. You choose basically your biggest creature and have it blow up everything else on the board. Pretty powerful card, and if you flash it back, you can even draw 4 cards. Now, you do have to discard your hand when you do that, but at the time that you're casting a 7-mana flashback spell, you're likely to have basically no cards in your hand anyway, so this can turn into just pure upside on the flashback. So this card seems really strong, and it's mono-colored, which makes it pretty easy to draft around, whereas Choco, also an incredibly strong card, really fun one to draft around, but a lot more restrictive being in green, white, and blue. And the really sick full art reprint out of that pack, the Through the Ages or From the Ages or whatever, bonus sheet card was a Commander card. It was Command Beacon, which was really cool to get Command Beacon on Arena, but obviously it doesn't work in draft. You don't have a Commander in draft. Pick number 2, we've got another red rare. We have Firion, Wild Rose Warrior. This card is incredible with the Job Select mechanic. That is a brand new mechanic to the Final Fantasy set. Works very similar to Living Weapon or For Mirrodin if you've played any of those sets in the past. Basically, they are equipment that come with 1/1 tokens that auto-attach the equipment to themselves. So if you have those Job Select equipments with Firion, then even though you have to sacrifice the copies of the equipment that you're getting in your end step, you get to keep the 1/1 tokens that they made on the board, which makes this a very powerful spell with your Job Select equipment spell. So I think that's a really reasonable way to continue on, just taking another solid red build around here. Pick number 3, there's a Job Select equipment. The Warrior's Sword is going to play quite well with our first 2 picks. It's 4 mana for a 4/3 by itself, and you can move this equipment around later, but it plays very well with Firion. You even just curve into it. Turn 3 Firion, turn 4 Warrior Sword, attack with the Hasting 2 copies of Warrior Sword. That's like 8 damage out of nowhere. Really, really powerful. And it's also nice with Nibelheim of Flame, a 4-power creature to deal 4 to everything. So I like the Warrior Sword a lot here. That said, there are some stronger off-color cards. In a vacuum, Warrior Sword is much weaker than every uncommon in this pack. I just really like how it plays with our 2 rares. We have Battle Menu here, which is really flexible removal out of white. Side Quest, Hunt the Mark, which is a solid removal spell in black, leaves a treasure behind. Golbaz, a reprint of Sir Conrad the Grim, can get a bunch of damage in. And Travel the Overlord is quite a big card draw spell, drawing 4. But again, I think I like how Warrior Sword plays with our first 2 picks enough to just jam it here and stick to 1 color for now. Pick number 4, here's a White Mage's Staff. This seems like a pretty reasonable off-color card to take, as it does synergize well with Firion, and the red-white archetype in this set is based around a bunch of equipment, so it's going to have a lot of Job Select cards to go with Firion and a lot of equipment in general to go with Firion, so a very reasonable place to go speculating into a second color. I think Laughing Mad is super filler, so we can go speculative on this pack. Pick number 5, things are going nice and simple here. There's a Freya Crescent, which is going to work really well in a equipment deck. A 1 mana 1/1 with flying is just a good card to equip with all of your equipment. But you can also use them to get a bunch of mana towards your equipment spells and towards equipping stuff. Pick number 6, we have some really strong off-color commons here. I think the Red Mage's Rapier is pretty weak, so theoretically, what makes it powerful is that all of your Job Select equipment creatures count as non-creature spells, in which case if you play this and then you play another Job Select equipment, then this will be a 3/1 during your turn, but 2 mana 3/1 is not even the greatest deal, and this is much worse than that on average, unless you're doing some kind of Stormy thing where you're playing a million spells in 1 turn, which is really unlikely. So I really want to go to one of these off-color cards. I think both of the blue cards here are really powerful commons, but Dragoon's Wyvern especially, 3 mana for a 2/1 flyer and a 1/1 hero token. That's a great common that puts a bunch of creatures on the board. Great with equipment, great with a more aggressive strategy. The other good blue common out of that pack was just a a counter spell there, which is much better in some slightly slower decks. I think with red as a main color here, we're going to want to try to play a pretty aggressive deck where playing to the board's a lot better with a card like Dragoon's Wyvern. Pick 7, Stiltskin isn't super good. It's just a 1-mana 1/2 lifelink for the most part, but lifelinkers play really well with equipment. We could also just take Ice Magic or a Light of Judgment here, and I think that would be reasonable, but I think I'll go for the Stiltskin. Pretty fun to equip up your lifelinkers. Pick 8's a really strong pack. I think I'm taking another Warrior Sword again just because it goes so well with Furion, but Cornered by Black Mages has been pretty impressive. Obviously, if your opponent has like a weak little token on board, they can just sacrifice the token instead of a good creature, so it plays pretty poorly in a mirror match where your opponent has their own 0/1 wizard token. Outside of that, though, making your opponent sack a creature and getting a wizard token at the same time tends to be pretty good. Pick 9, there's that Command Beacon, Wheeling. We could just rare draft that for Brawl, honestly. But I'm not going to rare draft here. We'll take a Self-Destruct. There's a couple good synergies for Self-Destruct. I don't think we currently have any of them. This is basically Fling, so your creature is going to deal damage to any target and itself equal to its power. So obviously, one of the ways to use it is to have a creature with higher toughness than power. Then that creature will survive casting that, which is pretty good. But the other way to use it is if you have a creature that's going to die anyway, so if your opponent targets your creature with removal, you can respond with the Self-Destruct, or the mechanic in the set that works well with it is the summon mechanic, the saga creatures. Those all sacrifice themselves after a few turns, so since they're going to die anyway, you can go ahead and fling them at something before they sacrifice to the saga ability. Pretty weak final picks. The Gubu Gardener's pretty good, but we haven't seen a big reason to move towards green so far. Weapons Vendor's a pretty nice pick to get this late. This is like the one archetype that card can be really strong in. A lot of the job select equipment have pretty restrictive mana costs for moving them around, like 5 mana to move around a Warrior Sword, but when you have a Weapons Vendor, you can do it for only 1. And of course, drawing a card when you cast it means this replaces itself in card economy, which is good. Pack 2, pick 1. Not the most exciting pack. You can certainly build around Matoya. Try to play a bunch of Surveil cards and Scry cards. It's not going to be great in a blue-red deck. There's going to be no surveilling or scrying out of the red. Still definitely more interested in white than any other color, because we have some good synergies already, and the color is likely to give us some more. But I don't love these white cards. There's just Primal Garuda as the best one, which is pretty defensive. You need your opponent to have a tapped creature to be happy with this, but it does get some flying damage, and this is probably still okay. I guess the Galacat's better than I'm giving it credit for. 3 mana for a 1/3 Flying Vigilance is quite bad, but if you have 2 equipment on the board, so, well, any 2 artifacts, then it's a 3/3 Flying Vigilance for 3, which is very good, so I guess it's actually probably better in this equipment archetype than most. So that Flying Cat might actually be decent. Pick 2 is another kind of a bummer here. No white spells. The red spell's pretty weak. It's worse than a 2 mana 3/1 on average, and a 2 mana 3/1's already not very good. What am I doing here? Picking some nonsense that's really unlikely to get played, so just take something for an alternate strategy. I guess this combat trick's not the worst. +2/+2, but if you have 3 or more creatures, +4/+4 for 1 mana is kind of big. We'll take that. You're not alone. Pick 3. Hey, we're the only red player. There's Clive, Ifrit's Dominance, 6 mana, 5/5. Discard your hand, draw at least 2 cards. And then for 6 mana, you can tap, flip Clive, get a 9/9, and fight a creature with your 9/9. Very strong card. Pretty expensive, pretty slow, but very powerful when you get it going. Oh my god, we're the only Boros player. We get Lightning, Army of 1. That is sick. Protagonist from Final Fantasy 13 over here. She's got the stagger mechanic, much like she does in the game. You're going to first strike in some damage, and then your opponent is now staggered, which means the future damage that you deal this turn is double. So you stagger your opponent so the rest of your board hits for double damage. This is insanely good. 3 mana, 3/2, first strike, trample, lifelink is already an incredible stat line, especially for putting equipment onto. What a pack Pack 2 has been for us. That has been quite the payoff from missing pretty hard in our Pack 2 pick 1. If we can't open up anything great for our deck, let's just get past all of it. Let's get past Clive. Let's get past Lightning. And let's have a great pack here, shall we? Another White Mage's Staff's a pretty easy pick. Most synergistic of the filler creatures we can take out of that pack. Pick number 6. We're certainly low on removal right now. We have a Self-Destruct and Nibelheim of Flame. These are both really awkward, narrow removal spells. Same with the Primal Garuda here. So getting a Thunder Magic to go with our Lightning, and just as a great removal spell in general, is pretty spectacular. 1 mana instant, 2 damage to a creature, 4 mana instant, 4 damage to a creature, or 7 mana instant, 8 damage to a creature. Very flexible and very solid. Pick 7, Magitech Infantry is a genuinely great card. It is solid if you have 2 or 3 copies, and then it gets really busted if you have 4 or more. So this is the kind of card that you should be picking pretty highly if you're playing in white, which means that it should be pretty difficult to get more than 3 copies. 3 is where you're really, really happy. But 2 is where it's playable. Pick number 8, just take a 2 mana 2/2 here. Got to fill out that mana curve, have some good creatures on the board to get some damage in early, as well as potentially get some equipment going. Pick 9. I do not think I'm playing this Laughing Mad, so I'm just going to rare draft Balthier and Fran because they're pretty cool. They'd be very fun to draft around at some point. Buffing up all your vehicles, giving you extra combat steps if you're swinging in with a crude vehicle. Cool stuff. Here's the Red Mage's Rapier, very filler 2-drop, but it is synergistic. It is an equipment here. Oh my god, Lightning Bolt? Okay, I'm going to be honest. I didn't even notice that when I looked at this pack initially, so I think what happened here is nobody knew that this card is Lightning Bolt. Because it's kind of hard to tell with completely different artwork and stuff, but Lightning Bolt is like the granddaddy of efficient red removal spells. I don't mind that at all. I do mind Self-Destruct. I don't think I want to play any of these. And Slash of Light is honestly not the worst removal in the Boros Job Select deck because it deals damage equal to the number of creatures and equipment you control. So if you have a single Job Select creature on the board, that's 1 equipment plus 1 creature off of just that 1 card, which helps it a lot. So pack 3, pick 1. There's Primeval Titan, which is an incredible card. Sadly, we're not in green, obviously. There's a Warrior Sword that goes incredible with our Furion. There's a Snow, which is fine because we've got a pretty solid creature count. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Normally you can check your creature count here, but because so many of our creatures are technically equipment, I kind of have to math it out. Yeah, we've got a pretty good creature count for Snow, and I don't have a lot of 3-mana cards, so I don't mind taking Snow here over the 3rd Warrior Sword. I don't think we're a Blitzball deck either. We don't really care about the ramp that much. I guess when I have a Clive in hand I do, but otherwise I don't care. To where this is just 3 mana situational draw 2. Feels pretty mediocre. Pack 3, pick 2. We've got, let's see, I've got a Lightning Bolt, Thunder Magic, Slash of Light, and a Nibelheim of Flame. I still really wouldn't mind another removal spell. And Suplex is a great one, pretty flexible. 3 damage to a creature and exile it, or just straight up exile an artifact. So if your opponent has a pretty nasty artifact on board, like a Buster Sword or something, getting that off the board is pretty great. Lionheart isn't bad. Kind of a removal spell attached to an equipment, and we do care about equipment in this deck. Works really well with Furion as well, which is fun. You know what? Lionheart is quite fun with our Furion, so we'll go for the Lionheart here. Pack 3, pick 3. Mediocre on color cards, a very cool Teferi here. There's a Light of Judgment, but I think at this point I'm good on removal. Lionheart, Slash, Thunder Magic, Thrum, and Nibelheim of Flame. I'm not great at killing big creatures, so there is that. Maybe Oron's Inspiration is solid. +2/+0 to all your attacking creatures. Can flash it back and do it again, get a lot of damage in. Pick 4. Weapons vendor, pretty good in this deck. Ambrosia Whiteheart also seems pretty good though. You can pick up your job select equipment to recast it, get another creature off of it. Also, any other good enter the battlefield effects work great with Ambrosia, and they are fantastic against removal spells. Your opponent tries to remove one of your creatures, you flash this in, pick it up, get ready to recast it again later. I like Ambrosia here a lot. Another Freya is great. The issue with Freya is that if we have multiple copies, then they're pretty bad because of the legend rule. So if we have multiple in our opener, we're going to be sad. Whereas Magitech Infantry is the kind of card that gets better the more copies we have, and we really need at least 2 copies for it to be playable in the first place. If you can never use the 3-mana ability, it's not really worth it, even just as a single 1-mana 2/1. We'll take the Magitech Infantry there. I don't mind Dwarven Castle Guard. Replaces itself when it dies. Make sure you got something to slap your equipment onto. Definitely like it better than this cat. Pick 7. Another White Mage's Staff, though. Really, really good. I'll take that over Rabanastra. I think Rabanastra is one of the worst of the dual lands because the Boros decks are pretty aggressive, where playing a tap land can be a pretty big downside not playing on curve. Plus, we only have a single, I guess 2 cards in the whole deck that need more than one of their respective color, so I feel like our mana shouldn't be too bad here. Pick 8, pretty much nothing we're interested in. I'm not going to play 2 of the cat beasts. I'll just take this big giant, I guess, but I'm probably not playing him either. We did wheel the warrior sword. We'll toy around with playing a 3rd copy. Take that over the Slash of Light there. Another Red Mage's Rapier. I think Monk's Fist might just be better. Just a 2/1 at all times. Means Monk's Fist is always better at blocking. And better at attacking even like half the time. Yeah, I'm just really not high on Red Mage's Rapier. Pick 11. We got the Light of Judgment back. I'm concerned about really big creatures. There's Monk's Fist versus Item Shopkeep. These are both obviously designed for the equipment deck. I think I'm actually going to go with Monk's Fist here. I don't think I care as much about the Menace as I do about getting some pretty big value on a couple of our other cards, specifically, again, Furion and Slash of Light getting much better with more equipment on the board. Okay, we get to cut quite a few cards when we build this deck, which is pretty sweet. So our deck, while it does technically have tokens with the job select card, it doesn't have token production in the sense of making multiple creatures off of a single spell. All of our creatures are just like, I'll play one creature, I'll play a creature, I'll play a creature, I'll play a creature. This, again, technically dies and then replaces itself with a creature, but it's not like I'm casting one spell to get 3 creatures on the board and try to go super wide, so I think that makes Oron's Inspiration just not quite worth it. And we're probably got to go 17 lands with a Clive up here at the top of the curve, plus plenty to do with our mana. We can spend it moving our equipment around later in the game. So we want to go for a full 17 lands, which means 17 lands, 23 spells, 15 to 17 creatures. If I go 17 creatures and 17 lands, that's 34 cards, which means we have room for 6 non-creature spells. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 if we keep Oron's Inspiration in here. So let's cut... Do I just cut the combat trick here and just run a whole burn and equipment? Yeah, I don't mind that. That way I can keep the one way to try to kill a bigger creature. It doesn't kill a super big creature, but kills one that's much bigger than anything else we can kill. So cut those, and then we just got 7 creatures now, because we have so many. Sure. So Stiltskin's really just in here to get equipped. Blazing Bomb is pretty narrow. We have 3 Warrior Sword that can put a +1/+1 counter on it. That's about it. I guess like you could equip it and then sack it and do more damage than usual, but it's also really slow. Like the infantries and the Freyas. Again, I think the Red Mage's Rapier is just really inconsistent over even Monk's Fists. If I had to cut any more twos, it'd be the Cat. And then maybe a Monk's Fists. 3 mana, I don't think I want to cut any of these. We've only got three drops here. 4 mana, I do have quite a lot. Maybe I have to cut one of the Warrior's Swords. Because I need to cut 7 cards here. And this is only 6 that I've set aside right now. Even if I cut all my Monk's Fist. Yeah. I guess I gotta cut a Warrior's Sword. I could also cut this Light of Judgment. But I probably shouldn't. Cut more interaction, sure. Cut the sword. For Furion, I still have 6 equipment. Yeah, 6 equipment. I really do want to maximize Furion, but I don't really have an easier way to get more equipment in here without dirtling up the mana curve a little bit. Some pretty mediocre equipment we're putting back in. I guess I can go a little gambly with it, run a little lower interaction than I would want. And maybe just for legend rule purposes, we can go 1 Freya. That gets me 2 equipment back in the stack. We play 1 more 2-drop and play the full, all 3 copies of the Warrior Sword. Yeah. Maximize Furion potential. Sure. Stack looks fun. Potentially explosive. Lightning can get so much damage in early. Furion can do nasty things, curving from Furion into Warrior Sword. And then Clive, of course, just a standalone, massive threat. Draws you a fresh new hand when you play him as well. Yeah, this deck looks like it's going to be pretty good. We've got 12 white cards and 10 red, but none of my white cards need 2 white mana to play them, but 2 of my red cards do, Clive and Nibelheim of Flame. But these are also my 2 most expensive cards in the whole deck. Like, I doubt I'm playing Nibelheim of Flame turn 4 that often, so they're like my 6 drops at the very top of the curve. I don't think it'd be crazy to actually go 9 white sources and 8 red just because we have more white cards than red cards, even though I do need double red on my late game cards. Again, those are specifically my late game cards, which means by the time that I'm casting them, I will have drawn at least like 6 lands total. And even on a 9-8 split, the odds of hitting 5 white sources and 1 red source on 6 mana are very low. So I think we can actually prioritize the white like this so that we have that white on turn 1 and specifically turn 2 pretty much every game, at least more often than the red, because it's really important to have white by turn 2 for all of our proactive plays. We do have a couple, really cheap red cards, but these are both reactive plays that we can play later and still get just as much mileage out of, clearing out their creatures. The Freya, though, I do want to play turn 1, so that's like slightly awkward. But I think the 9-8 split leaning towards white looks like a solid spot to be. We will lock it in like that, call it a deck here, hop into the gameplay, and see how well this sweet-looking deck does. Alright, here we are for game 1. We've got the Furion here. I've got an alternate 2-drop to cast so that I can get the Furion trigger on White Mage's Staff for the double up. So we're just going to flash in an Ambrosia with no extra value, but that is fine. That is part of the flexibility of the card. You just play the Chocobo, get your 3 damage beat stick in. Okay. Nope, I clicked too fast. I was supposed to play the land because it has landfall extra damage ability. Hopefully we don't lose this game with our opponent at 1 life. That would be very embarrassing. I mean, it already is embarrassing. Just lost a point of damage for nothing. Just playing the instinctual give your opponent no information way. It's like, no, you have landfall abilities, you play the land. Well, that was a gross draw. This is Not going to be fun for our opponent this turn. We'll see how they choose to deal with our stuff here. I assume this is enough damage. They're going to go ahead and trade into the Monk's Fist. That is not a temporary equip. But they take 1,000,000 damage. Okay, they could also just concede on the spot. Yeah. Obviously, I played that out pretty bad. I mean, the one line I could have misplayed pretty hard, I did. I forgot my landfall trigger. But we drew literally perfectly. Therian into two mana equipment means the best they can do here is trade into the one that's going to go away, or that isn't going to go away, and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Go to 6 life. They would have been at 5 life if I hit them for 3 last turn. Ew. Alright, well, that makes me feel pretty good about this deck, especially putting back another 2-mana equipment into here. Because now, when we have Therian hands, we have opportunities to have our 4-mana equipment in the hand, or maybe if we're really lucky, we could hit the double 2-mana equipment on turn 4 as we did there. Either of those should be really powerful ways to get just an egregious amount of damage in. Game number 2. Solid hand here, certainly much slower than our last one, because that was just light speed ahead. Our mana curve is slightly awkward, but that's just a fact of our deck. We are going to draw hands like this with just a clump of 4-mana cards, because we're running a lot of them. Very lucky draw hitting Therian. If they trade into Castle Guard, they lose the ability to play their exiled card, and they give up on hasting anything out. So this is an easy attack. Excellent draw off the top. We did hit the Therian. If I do not hit land 4 on turn 4, then we'll be pretty sad, because that leaves us with only a Slash of Light castable. Very important, obviously, to hit land 4 here with this many 4-mana cards in hand, but especially for that double Warrior Sword. Hasty Cactuar, but it doesn't haste in. Fair enough. I don't think I'm really Slash of Lighting anybody here. Let's just White Mage's Stash, get some... or White Mage's Staff, get some Therian value. Do I care if they trade 2 creatures into 1 Therian? That feels like generally an excellent deal for me, but I do have a Warrior Sword in my hand. So I think I at least wait till land 4, but after I've cast the Warrior Sword, I can freely send in the Therian. If they want to take any trades here, it should be on the token that has a permanent copy of White Mage's Staff, and that is what they do. Chocobo kick the Therian, fair enough. At least they had to pick up a land to do that, which slows them down. Did not hit land 4. Anyway, I drew a 4th 4-mana play, which is obviously quite a bad draw. I don't think I should be flinging a Slash of Light at a 2-1 here. It's the only proactive removal spell in my hand. It's the only removal spell in my hand I have that can kill a blocker. That can kill an untapped creature. So I really want to have access to this in case they play something really bad. Like, that's pretty bad. Luckily, I did draw the creature to make this viable. I think that's bad enough to just shoot it here and keep the pressure on. I could try to save this for like a big bomb, but a big bomb is going to be high enough toughness I would have to wait until I have probably multiple Warrior Swords out. Get this to like 6 damage plus. Alright, there's another 3 toughness blocker, which is also bad, but that one doesn't spit out a bunch of frogs. Like, if I let that remain on board, they would have had this and a 1/1 frog. And if I dealt with the frog, then this would turn itself into a 3/4. Okay, we have hit land 4, which is very, very good here. They have the Ride the Shoepuff. Shoepuff's waiting. If they hit 7 mana, they've got a 7/7 blocker. So how do we push damage here? Try to jump into the sky, but they have reach anyway. Think we just have to run out a warrior sword here, have something big enough to trade in on attacks, even through a landfall trigger of getting a +1/+1 counter onto that 3/3. Sorcery speed is weird here, because they could have done that as a combat trick if I wanted to attack him with the 4/3 and then just killed my 4/3 for free. But now I know not to attack in because I know for sure they have 6 toughness here. Top decking Magitech Infantry is the literal worst draw in the whole deck when you have the other one on board that can tutor it out anyway. So that's always a pretty monumental bummer. And we certainly have to go wide here to get around the big blockers. The problem is next turn they have a 6/6 and a 7/7 on blocks. Yeah. I mean, if we hit lands on curve, that's the easiest way for us to have had a wide enough board state to push damage here, but I think our mana is just too slow this game. It's going to take quite a while to get around these large blockers. Yep, there's the 7/7, and they can use that ability at instant speed as well. Go for a T-Rexar instead. This is a really disappointing position to be in, because this game could easily have been just over by now if we just hit lands faster. But now they're very, very stable. And we are going to have to get to this Clive and see if that can bomb them out later. Luckily, they are really not in a position to pressure us yet. But they have 2 7/7s and a 6/6 on block, make it 3 7/7s. Sorcery speed rides the Shoepuff. Again, that's another instant speed ability. This is going to be a draw 4 with Clive because the double warrior sword. That is pretty spectacular. So Primal Garuda, we play it, it does nothing. Next turn, it gives something flying, which they've only got 1 creature, but that still basically does nothing. I think this is worthless enough to just speed out Clive faster. Just discard it so we can get Clive going faster. Solid hand. Solid draws. Okay, they're over it. Our board is really wide, and they know that Clive can kill their biggest blocker, which is going to be the Shoepuff here, I think, so that they stop getting +1/+1 counters. Either way, they're tired of us casting spells, and we still get there thanks to a really, really good draw. Could have definitely lost that game because we didn't get the lands to curve out super aggressively, but we then drew our biggest late game threat that can break through really big blockers. So Clive was like the perfect draw for us there. So pretty lucky game. 2-0 heading into game 3. All right, game 3. There's a lot of powerful spells in this hand. They're mostly reactive though. This could be awkward. Also, if our opponent has played this set a lot, then our Lightning Bolt is basically face up. It's kind of the only 1 mana red instant there is. Drop the Castle Guard here, I think. Rather than hold up a Thunder Magic or Lightning Bolts. It's the Shopkeep. Alright, well now I can Thunder Magic that to push damage. I don't need to do that. Castle Guard already attacks freely. Just a great trade. And then I can just hold up the Thunder Magic. Did miss a land drop already, which is sketchy. Girlfriend of Frida's here. I think that's the very first Guardian Force. Final Fantasy VIII. We'll be getting some mana out of this Ifrit, but it does die naturally eventually anyway. Is it wrong to Lightning Bolt instead of Thunder Magic here? I think I'm gonna Lightning Bolt instead of Thunder Magic, because Thunder Magic can do 4 or even 8 in the late game. Oh god, these draws. We are on the 17 lands for a reason, but this is gonna be 2 games in a row we've missed some pretty important land draws. This game definitely even worse than the first in terms of those land draws. I mean, we have our 6-drop in our hand, and we're stuck on 2 instead of stuck on 3. Yeah, the position where it is worse to have played Lightning Bolt instead of Thunder Magic is the position where I stay stuck on mana. Because then if they play a 3 toughness blocker, I need to wait till they have 4 mana to get it out of the way with Thunder Magic. So it might have been wishful thinking to throw out the Lightning Bolt there instead of the Thunder Magic. Just another 2 toughness creature anyway, though. Which, honestly, might just be on Nibelheim Flame at this point. Thank God. Land 3 is here, so I can Magitech Infantry into the other Magitech Infantry. These trades are solid. Got a 5th mana here. They're going to put a lot of pressure on me because they get to play some really big spooky stuff. I probably have to play on the defensive here. We really don't have enough of a board to apply a lot of pressure. But they kind of already do. If I just attack with these 2 and they crack back for 6, that's kind of awful. Because they crack back for 6 and then play 6 mana worth of creatures, which is at minimum another Chocobo. But probably a lot more from a green deck. I guess they only have 1 green mana. They can't play the T-Rex. It's another Chocobo, alright. That makes me slightly happy. Not bad at all. Okay. If I top deck a land, I can just Nibelheim a Flame all these dudes anyway. The Ifrit is going to die to its own ability, though. I think I block like this. I think even if I end up Nibelheim a Flaming away this infantry, like, I'm not going to want to top deck another infantry later in the game, so it's fine to tutor this one out. If my first one's going to die anyway. Yeah, this literally sacks itself next turn. I'm not going to Nibelheim a Flame 1 creature. We'll save the Nibelheim a Flame for 4 damage to everybody off the Warrior Sword. Just a Chocobo over there. 16. Oh, I see what I should have done. I played this out wrong. I should have main phase 1 Warrior Sword attack with Magitech Infantry. I think Castle Guard is my best blocker here. Getting to block and get a creature back out of it still. There's the Fat Chocobo. They've got double red up. If they tap out, I'll absolutely Nibelheim a Flame. But if they have any open mana, the big risk with Nibelheim a Flame is that if your opponent kills your creature in response to Nibelheim a Flame, they counter the whole thing. So yeah, they have a couple mana up, so I'm just not going to do it. I mean, is there a way to do 3 damage for 2 mana or less in red? There's a Lightning Bolt, but that is quite rare because it is a Through the Ages reprint. I think that that's the only way. I'm going to get greedy. Just hold up a Thunder Magic. Pass through the turn. I'm going to try to wait till they have, hopefully, 0 mana up. And because I'm just casting a Nibelheim a Flame soon anyway, I don't really want to play another creature right now. which makes this pretty awkward and somewhat obvious that I have something big I'm trying to do. Send in the Fat Chocobo, send in the 3-2. Now they have 4 red mana up. Tremendously awkward for me. They're trampling through, so even if I block here, I'm only stopping a single point of damage. No blocks then. Oh, let's go. Okay. We're safe. They tapped out. Don't have to worry about some instant that I haven't seen yet. We know Nibelheim of Flame resolves. Their board is clear, but now they have double green and still 5 cards in hand. So likely some of those big, like 6/6s and stuff out of the green, which are going to be hard for us to beat, especially a 7/7 that blows up our Warrior Sword. That is nasty stuff right there. 7/7 trample too. Green is the worst matchup for this deck because all of our removal is the red damage-based stuff, so we can't really kill a 7/7. We kind of just die to a 7/7 trample. Yeah, I mean, what is even the plan now? Get to Clive, but I'm at 7 life. I can't really do so. Try my best here. Draw a card off Weapons Vendor, hoping to hit a land, and missing. Yeah, 10-9 trample will get us pretty bad here. Ah, might as well play Ragavan. We've got good efficient removal against Ragavan at least. But this is the kind of card, if your opponent just goes Mountain Ragavan turn 1 in draft, you're just going to lose the game on the spot. But no, like the turn 12 Ragavan or whatever is whatever. We're just dying to the behemoth. I can go to 1 if I sack my whole board. Yeah, bummer. I could have taken a little less damage if I didn't play it so scared with the Nibelheim of Flame, but we would still end up dying to this behemoth. I don't really have a way to deal with it with a sword equipped to it. Like, even flipping a Clive, the 9/9 fights their 10/9, and I lose the Clive anyway. Yeah, green is just a bad matchup for us if we don't curve out really quick and outrace their big 7/7s. And we curved out exceptionally slow that game. We got stuck on 2 mana for a long time, and then kept off the Clive as well in the late game. So 2-1 it is, heading into game number 4. All right, here we are for game number 4. We are 2-1 right now. We just need to win 1 more game to guarantee a 50-50 record out of the deck, but I think this is a really sweet one. Our mana has been a consistent issue here, and this hand is no different. Luckily, we draw right out of it immediately. So Blazing Bomb's annoying, because I don't really want to trade infantry off until I use its ability, so I think we're on Castle Guard, activate infantry next turn, and then it's fine to trade it off, because we've gotten the extra creature value. Sure. We'll just trade it off there. Lunatic Pandora. We can play Fist and Crescent. Holding up some removal or something. Good draw is good here. That was going to be a little awkward. We didn't have a good proactive play. This Primal Groot has been a really big underperformer the whole time. I did say when we drafted it and when we put it in our deck that it is pretty awkward in an aggressive deck because there's not going to be a lot of opportunity to be shooting tapped creatures, but even then it has been just pretty much completely useless. Okay, I don't mind the counter spell here, getting that out of the way if we draw something better. Rook turret. A little annoying. Ooh! No haste on lightning, but getting her on the board here is pretty exceptional. Technically should have main phase tutor, but I wanted to just auto tap everything and make sure auto tapper didn't go stupid with it. So I didn't want to like move the equipment and have auto tapper tap me out of red, so I can't play lightning. I think more importantly, auto tapper will never tap with Freya, so I'd have to manually tap the Freya or have a really bad time. Okay, the fist is better on a... Okay, well, hold up. There is a question here. We could cast Primal Garuda without shooting anybody. That plays poorly against a board wipe. But otherwise, getting another creature on the board is kind of a big deal. Yeah, I probably should be playing the stupid Garuda. Anyways, it's more damage to put Monk's Fist onto the non-first striker because the first striker is staggering our opponent. We're doubling the other damage. But, as expected, they are going to blow up the lightning with all that open mana. They go down to 10, and here's our flyer to keep the pressure on. Jumps another card into the sky. We can attack them with 3 flying creatures next turn. They could go like land Lunatic Pandora away the summon, but then they're taking 4 a turn. They're already at 10. They go down to 6. Another 5-mana instant speed removal spell here. They're just passing turn. Oh, discard a card, draw 2. All right. Taps a lot of their mana down. They play a single blocker. There's a flying blocker, though. There's the Slash of Light, which I think I just cast here. Maximize the damage. Great top deck. It's not quite lethal, but it's really close. They're at 2 life, and we pass the turn. Nice. That is game. We are 3-1. We have locked in at least a 50-50 record with this deck. Pretty sweet stuff, but if we can get just a single extra win, we have a positive record on our first draft on my personal account. Technically, it's like the 5th draft or something because of all the early access drafts, but it'd be a really nice way to start off the format. Start off the Mastery Pass and all that. What are my draws? We're 3-1. We've got a great record, but these draws have been so consistently awkward. A monocolored hand, both of the infantries, so they're actually quite bad. And then a double red card. Mulligan that. Oh, Arena. Alright, 5 cards in a dream it is. And it's like, you're winning too much. We gotta nerf you even harder. Probably have to get rid of both the 4-mana plays. And we have no confirmation we're hitting the lands towards them. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, we start the game down 3 cards because we mulligan twice and we're on the play instead of on the draw. Normally the tempo you get from being on the play is more than worth the 1 card less that you start with. But if you mulligan twice, it hurts much more mulliganing twice on the play than mulliganing twice on the draw. I think I just play another staff and pass. If I hit another land, I get to move one of the staffs to the other creature and send a 3/3 past the 2/2. Our opponent's 3-color deck here is on all 3 colors turn 3. I have 2 white mage's staffs. I shouldn't be trying to stop damage super aggressively early here. The Efreet is here. They discard a card, draw a card. There is the land to make one of these a 3/3, but now they have the 3/2 blocker. Efreet does sack itself eventually anyway, but being able to push damage here, stop their extra abilities, doesn't feel bad. Send the team. Man, the Chocobo is a really cute pet, but it's also very loud. Wow. Alright, that's a bomb rare. Kind of the classic of today's draft. Let's draw another 4-drop on 3 mana. Well, we are, again, tremendously behind on cards, but I still have a slight chance if I hit the land next turn, because then I just play the Primal Garuda. Hopefully they attack with Cypher or Seifer, and we get to kill him. If they have the Trample trick, we're dead on the spot. Because either they trample over and get the double strike trigger, or I like triple block to try to stop them, and then they just kill our whole board. So they don't have the trample trick. Hit the land, so I am barely in this game. They're down to only 2 cards left in their hand. On board, things are pretty even here. I don't mind our hero for the Efreet. And they don't take the trade. Yeah, I think I'm going to swap my pet back to the Moogle. As far as I remember, it's a little quieter. Pretty good here. That would have been a bad spot to block with our flyer, because it does sacrifice itself soon anyway. Slash of Light is quite good. Gain 2 off of the attack trigger. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage I can deal. They go to 5. I'm at 12. They're not going to have lethal counterattacks here. We might just push full damage. Yeah, we go up to 14. They're at 5. Here's a 4-power attacker. Next turn, I send it into the sky with our summon, and we have 5 damage in the sky, plus I Slash of Light if they play a reach blocker. As long as they don't play, like, the lifelinker here. If they don't have removal, we do actually win this. They don't play like the T-Rex that gains 3 or something like that. Taking it. They're going to have like Tifa's Limit Break or something to find lethal. Tifa's Limit Break, if you fully kick it, or if you play it on the highest tier, you triple somebody's power, which can really get kills out of nowhere. I had somebody cast that against me with the diamond weapon. I am so surprised we won that game. So surprised we won that game. So they just drew way too many lands, I guess. But I had somebody do the triple your creature's power with the diamond weapon that's like a 8/8. And I was like, all right, I'll take like 24 or something, because they had the fat chocobo on the board as well to give it trample. That happened at my local pre-release. It was sick. That was the most I died that day. Game 6, we're 4-1. This is maybe the best hand we've drawn today. I mean, we've been getting like consistently pretty awkward hands and then just still winning. So to balance things out, our best looking hand so far, we lose this one, right? Let's balance it out here. Draw bad hands, complain, still win. Draw a great hand, be happy, and lose. We gotta flip things out. Get some yang to our yin, some yin to our yang. It's probably actually just good to attack here, even without activating, but I'm a greedy man. Tonberry, you can just get Thunder Magicked or Lionhearted. Probably the Lionheart. Tonberry, if you don't know how First Strike and Death Touch work together, basically unblockable. It deals damage before any of our cards do, and the damage it deals is always lethal. So you have to block it with 3 creatures to deal any damage to it, and they get to First Strike away your 2 biggest blockers. Okay, so Lionheart's just going to kill Tonberry next turn. Fang is threatening. We want to kill Fang before they do any graveyard shenanigans, but can't till I have 4 mana. So I kind of think I play Furion here, because I'm just going to cast Lionheart next turn. And obviously getting a duplicate Lionheart is pretty sick, even if it's not quite going to kill Fang. I guess I could use the duplicate Lionheart to kill Fang with Lionheart instead. Okay, that works too. Now I just kill the Tonberry. If I only get 1 copy anyway. Sure. Or not. Or we draw that and kill Fang first. Yep. The plan changes every turn. The best laid plans, and then you just draw a better play. I do really need to get towards activating this Magitech Infantry, because the longer I don't activate it, the more likely I am to just top deck the other copy. But I've just had way better things to do with my mana each turn, and this turn is no different. Yeah, I shouldn't have opened my big mouth. That makes this turn a really easy play. They got the Tifa limit break. I don't mind getting that out of the way here. Yeah, that is not bad at all. Obviously, like, slight bummer Tonberry's still on the board, but getting rid of this without it getting kicked at all, this could have easily killed us out of nowhere, and now it doesn't do anything. Well, I mean, it does something. It saves Tonberry. Okay. Big infantry. Goodbye, board. The awkward part is anything they draw as a creature here, since they have a Chocobo Racetrack. They draw a creature that's also a removal spell. That's a pretty good one. It's big enough I have to kick Thunder Magic to kill it. Am I going wide or am I going tall here? I think I'm going wide, because I also get life gain from doing so. Yeah, land is super, super good because it's double Chocobo, because they've got the flashback on the greens as well. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Really don't have an option here. But to kill the flyer now. I'm supposed to send in the cleric here. Probably a trade on their blocks is better than a trade on our blocks. Gain 1, take 2 or 3. Okay, or just do the trade now. Yeah, this is way better than, like, if they just played a land and then attacked here, I would have to block both anyway. So now I've gained 1 and traded instead of just trading without gaining 1. I think we're getting crushed by this racetrack, though. Man, it's supposed to be like 19 lands to ever flashback Nibelheim of Flame? Apparently, at this point. Even if I play Warrior's Sword, it's only got 3 toughness and it trades into the bird, so it's better to trade the weapons vendor into it. Especially if I hit a land. Oh my god. We hit a land, we get the free equip here. Which is huge, but... Nope. Lightning's probably the best non-land draw in the deck. The first strike... No vigilance. No vigilance is kind of sad. Mana. Please. They can hit us for 6. If I can get lightning up to 6 power, we're winning. And I can. Unless they've got instant speed removal, in which case they kind of kill us, period. Got our army of 1 on the board. Is the army of 1 good enough to beat the entire army of chocobos? They've escaped the racetrack and they're just on a rampage. It's like the island's full of wild chickens. Just feral chickens that are just shredding through everybody's stuff. Except they're gigantic chickens. Oh. Absolute stress-inducing draft. They can't be easy. They can't go super smooth today. But the win rate sure has gone super smooth. We're 5-1. We're in the money out of the draft no matter where things go from here. Aw, shoot. Here we go again. I mean, that's just a mulligan, right? If I draw any land, I have 2 infantry into snow. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, 2 colors. All 4 drops. Still a keep, though. Just get rid of one of the 4s. 2 different ways to make up for the card disadvantage of taking the mulligan here. Infantry draws the other card. Weapons vendor draws another. So we ditch a Warrior's Sword, and this looks super fine. Uh-oh. Arena? Oh, it's crashing. MTGA.exe is not responding? Yo. Oh, no. Oh, no. If you ever have something like this happen and then you lose a game to it, definitely submit a bug report and a reimbursement report. They will, almost every time, they'll give you your entry fee back. Oh no, what happened? Okay, it kept the hand. And it ditched a land. Okay. I don't agree with that decision. And it might lose us the game. Yeah, we might lose the game to disconnect here. Because if we had land instead of this Warrior's Sword, this hand looks very reasonable. Vendor, Sword, and Nibelheim Flame is the top deck. Might still get there. Might still get there. You never know. Okay, we really gotta play the defensive against Saz's Chocobo. This card is the gnarliest one drop in the whole set. I think this card is scarier than turn 1 Cecil, which is the 1 mana 2/3 Death Toucher that deals damage to you. Because this thing, like, by the end of the game, like, if you just don't deal with it, like a 1 mana 5/6, 6/7, it's just insane. Whereas Cecil is like, by turn 3, turn 4, easy enough to just do a 1-for-1 trade. But Saz's Chocobo just gets scarier and scarier and scarier. Plus, the fact that it's a bird to go with Raise a Chocobo is nasty. Yeah, Raise a Chocobo is kind of just an instant win if you ever flip it, but it is quite hard to flip. What's really strong about it, though, is like, even if you don't flip it, you just spent 2 mana, you got a Chocobo, which is a good deal. But if you do flip it, it's insane. You buff all of your Chocobos every time you play a land. All right, and now here is where we lose to DC. If we did not DC, this Warrior's Sword would be another land, and that land would be able to Nibelheim Flame away 2 of the Chocobos to make sure they don't flip the Raise of Chocobos. If they play 1 more bird, we lose. Yeah, all right. Literally lost to DC, because I would have absolutely Nibelheim Flame to prevent these from flipping, but now that they're going to flip, we have no shot. I guess I still have one last chance to top deck a land, but now the Chocobo's massive too. The Saz's Chocobo. It's crazy how in this game we would be with the 4th land instead of DC mulling away the land. Nibelheim Flame goes so hard right now, but at least we stopped the side quests from flipping. Are they mono green Chocobos? At least we get to lose to an awesome deck if we lose to the DC. This is sick. Double Raise a Chocobo, Traveling Chocobo, Saz's Chocobo. The dream draft. Yep, there's the 4th Chocobo. Hello. A little embarrassing that we're now on a 1-1. And probably still die to this, but that is by far our best play for the turn. Keep these from flipping, because again, 2 of them on board, the flip is definitely lethal. The amount of damage they would get in. They would have had 6 birds out, giving them all +2/+0 per land played. And it does say transform this enchantment. It does not say exile it, then transform it, so I think they can even attack the turn they flip. Alright, we made it to Nibelheim Flame, which is something. Unfortunately, the Primal Garuda is way too late for the Saz's Chocobo. I don't see an out from here. Against a 7/8 and a 6/6, green is our worst matchup, as we said before, because all of our removal is damage-based, even our white removal spells. So the high toughness stuff is crushing, and there's that Colosseum Behemoth, which, as we saw to our first loss, this was the only card we lost to all day. And I guess technically we could say it's still the only card we lost to, even though this game I kind of lost to the Chocobo more than the Behemoth. Yeah, I mean, they got me here. There's no surviving play for that turn. All right, well, the game would have gone much better if we didn't disconnect and we had land 4 earlier, but it was still pretty likely a loss since they had backup gigantic creatures to play. Even if I managed to Nibelheim a Flame earlier to be at a higher life total and maybe, cast these 4 drops earlier, thanks to hitting land 4 earlier and setting up like a double block for the Chocobo, I think our deck still very likely gets crushed by these other cards. So probably didn't really matter. Still definitely frustrating to get a disconnect like that, but really strong matchup, really strong deck from our opponent. We are 5-2 heading into game 8. Game 8. Banger hand is a banger. Snap keep. Unfortunately on the draw. Boros mirror match. We are at the disadvantage by being on the draw instead of on the play. But maybe the advantage for having a stronger hand? Question mark, question mark? Let's hope so. I mean, if their hand is stronger than a hand with a Lightning and a Clive, I will cry. Because that's going to be just a nightmare of a hand from our opponent. There's the Gala Cat. Thunder Magic's the draw. Very into that. Just lead with Lightning, though. Really hope they don't have their own Thunder Magic. Be pretty embarrassing for her to Lightning herself, or Thunder herself. Down to 19. They pass with all their mana up. You do not love to see that. They're gonna have to double combat trick me here. They're gonna have to destroy a tapped creature. Yeah, there's nothing I can do about that. That is just depressing. White Mage's Staff. They need one more artifact for this Gala Cat to just start shredding my soul. Another Warrior Sword. This might be like a Thunder Magic, the Adelbert kind of turn. In which case, it's actually a re-equip for 4 toughness. They have no good blocks through a Thunder Magic. Or even on board, I don't even think they have a good block. Yeah. Not bad. Probably gonna Thunder Magic Adelbert in response to them playing another artifact here. Although, they play another artifact, and this cat, again, is a nightmare. Yeah! Sketch. Another Warrior Sword. Well, it's the +4/+4 combat trick. Can't really not block. Oh, post-combat damage spell. Okay, that's way less bad. Still get their creature off the board, force to re-equip. We're at 11, they're at 8. I take another 3, I go down to 8, but I can go double creature here to have blockers up. It's gonna be a close one. Gonna be a close one for sure. Lance is insane. One of the best uncommons for the equipment deck. Another flyer, and they can turn any of their other creatures into a flyer, which can often just get lethal really quickly. Yeah, I think Lance kills us. We'll see. Our best play is obviously just Clive and hope for the best. Tap one of our creatures with this cat. They're gonna have 2 flyers though, so even if they tap like multiple blockers, it doesn't really matter. Because they can just send all the important damage in the sky. Yeah. I think they got us here. I think the lance is the nail in the coffin. We'll see. Ah! This would have been really nice against the cat that turn. And then we fly our thing into the sky for 6 on the following turn. We go to 2 on board. Clive's ability is sorcery speed only, so they can cat down the Clive in our upkeep. Stop us from killing their flyer. It wouldn't matter because we still just die to the lance, but it's still a thing they can do. Zach Fair. Alright, yep, we die to Dragoon's Lance. The game could have played out differently had we killed the cat, saved the removal of the cat instead of their life linker, but if I didn't kill the life linker, they'd be at a million bajillion life here. Dragoon's Lance would still be killing us. I think that's about as well as it could have gone, but maybe killing the cat plays out better enough. 5-3. Disappointing run for this deck. I think this deck was exceptional. What? Close but no cigar. I mean, play draw differential? Probably do actually win this on the play, but what are you going to do? By Garuda, they just sack Zach and keep the token. They can just move Lance to literally anything. If I don't kill them this turn, I die no matter what I do. I could gain 2 life and be at 4, but I die even at 4. Because if I try to kill the cat, they just Zack to save the cat. Because Zack gives indestructible. I have to draw like... Nibelheim of Flame doesn't even do it. I missed too many land drops early to play an 8th this turn. I need like Lightning Bolt off the top or something. I don't even think that works, because again, they just have Zack. Yeah. Disappointing ending there. 5-3 for this deck. A great record in general, in the money, and a very positive win rate, but I think this deck could have done better. It was really, really explosive. Lots of great rares, some solid cheap removal. We just had some really awkward draws and rough matchups. The green decks obviously are quite good against this because they can get some really big high toughness creatures on board, and all of our removal spells are damage based removal spells. So not a good matchup to run into those 2 green decks for the first 2 losses. And then that final game, I think the best thing that could have gone differently was being on the play instead of on the draw. Maybe we can outrace them on the play there. But primarily it's just, you know, them having that cheap removal for the lightning slowed us down a lot, and then we missed land drops towards getting Clive on turn 6. Had to wait a lot for him. That was kind of a consistent thing today, just in general, was missing a lot of land drops despite being on the 17 land deck, but it is what it is. It is part of Magic. Probably a little bit of the lower end of variance today for this deck. Drags it down to a 5-3, even if it might be more of a 6-3 or 7-2 on average. But it's still a very solid record overall. Still highly recommend basically every card that we drafted today and this archetype in general, if you have good reasons to be there. Just didn't pan out in a super, super explosive run, but 5-3, nothing to scoff at. If you 5-3 every draft, you are in the money forever. You can draft infinitely. So solid record today. That is going to do it for today's video, though. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and are interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more of these videos in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.